So we're here to talk about Kathak dance. And I'd like to hear from you, someone who practices the art form, what Kathak dance is.
So Kathak is one of 8 classical dance styles that come from South Asia, specifically from the provinces of Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan. Unlike the other classical dance styles, what makes it unique is that there's this dialogue with the tabla drums. And the dancer is required to actually recite the rhythmic language, all the bowls that she or he will perform along with the tabla drums in a live interaction. And this is something that I was always really fascinated by, this connection with rhythm, even though there is such a rich vocabulary of movement as well in the Kathak style. But it was really this dialogue and conversation that happens that I found was so unique from any style in the world, really, in terms of a dance style. And then you see all these influences that come into the movements, the costume, and even the instrumentation that goes along with Kathak dance. I was always really fascinated by the energy and the speed of this particular dance style, which you will find is quite different from the other styles that come out of South Asia that are more connected to the temples.
And so these videos that Pratibha Arts has created, what are they about?
So in 2007, I produced an album called Tarana. And a Tarana is a song that is meant for dance. It has lyrics, but it's very rhythmic in nature, and it's meant to be performed for dance. And this recording, or this album of recordings, came about after I'd been witnessing for so many years that dancers don't have access to good music for performance. Ideally, in Kathak dance, you would want to have a live orchestra. You'd want to have a live tabla musician and instruments. But that's not really feasible for dancers on a regular basis. And then even really good quality recordings are not that easy to find. There's no commercially available recordings for classical dance like Kathak. So I thought that I would adapt certain songs that I thought would be really ideal for choreography and interweave the melodies with rhythmic compositions that are suitable for Kathak dance, and then produce a really high-quality album of music that captures the spectrum and the repertoire of Kathak dance. So that album, Tarana, was released under the name Kathak in 2009 in India through Times Music. Through digital disseminations, all these platforms that we have like Spotify and iTunes, I've seen that the music from that album in particular has been accessed by dancers like all across the world. And I followed up that album with a few recordings, Ragas and Rhythms, Avatar, and Kalashri. These were opportunities for me to take traditional compositions or compositions that were very old, adapt them for dance, as well as create new material, like original songs. And we actually produced these recordings in Toronto at Toast and Jam Studios downtown with a stellar lineup of musicians from India and Toronto. So this video project is bringing to life some of those recordings. So I wanted to capture my vision that I had for the choreography that would go along with a lot of these songs, and as a way to also capture the essence of Kathak dance, to show the spectrum of the movement language and this musicality that comes with this particular dance style.
Well, one of the things that really, appeals to me about this whole project is that you're taking something or a tradition that continues to evolve, but is usually passed down completely orally, and within families, within communities, and you're making this accessible to everyone, and you're capturing it, documenting this. So I think that's very cool.
Well, and these songs are, they're quite short, right? Like they're like songs like 4 or 5 minutes long. There's one piece that's 16 minutes, but that's exploring a very particular rhythmic cycle, which is of 14 beats, known as dhamar. But that is the thing that, people think of classical dance as not being accessible, However, you can, you can really do anything with it. And my interpretation of it is a reflection of how contemporary and how much of a living art form, Kathak dance or any of these, what we like to think of as traditional art forms, how they are all about the people who make them or who approach them with respect for the foundations that have been passed down from generation to generation. But when I was learning Kathak, I would see that my teacher would compose things in the moment, on the spot. That's how a tabla musician also practices, that it's not just about learning a certain amount of material and then just repeating it. It's taking something that you may have learned from your guru and thinking, okay, what can I do differently, or how can I also interpret something new with this? So these pieces are kind of like that I like to think that they capture a time that maybe in the 18th, 19th century may have existed in the courts when musicians and dancers performed for royalty, that same kind of feeling, that energy, but however they're created by contemporary personalities in a new environment.
Well, I love how you make Kathak dance Canadian dance.
It is. We think of it as a transnational, or these are multicultural art forms, but Kathak, Bharatanatyam, Odissi, all these dance forms are just as much a part of the Canadian artistic landscape, and they have been taught and performed for so many years. So to think of them as multicultural or not Canadian is, I think we're past that point.